Welcome back to part 4 of this 5-part series on 5 cognitive biases destroying your life. Each day this week, we're breaking down one bias clouding our judgment, why our brains fall for it, and exactly what to do about it.
Life is beautiful.
Welcome back to part 4 of this 5-part series on 5 cognitive biases destroying your life.
All right, so I think I've recently discovered my new all-time favorite habit.
And what's that?
So you follow the guy Brian Johnson, right?
Yeah, the longevity guy.
The guy who wants to live forever, ex-billionaire dude who's like spending billions of dollars on just like figuring out how to live forever. So I follow him on X, and I would say 90% of his posts at this point, at least the ones that come on my feed, are him talking about the importance of sleep. How sleep is like the number one factor for longevity and good health. And so he talks about all these things you can do to have better sleep. And I felt like I was checking a lot of those boxes. I was doing good. I was taking my magnesium glycinate before bed, and I stopped eating and drinking before bed. But there was one thing that I was really struggling to do, which was stay away from screens before bed, because me and my wife love watching like a good show to unwind at the very end of the night before bed. And usually after that, I just slip right under the covers right after that screen. But he was like, no, you don't understand. Like, these screens are really bad for you right before bed. So I said, all right, I'm not going to stop watching these shows, but I really want to try to meditate, like sit on my meditation cushion before I slip into the covers to at least have a gap and like relax the mind before I do it. So I set the goal on my one pager, my little one pager of goals. And, whatever I put on my one pager, it's like, it's going to happen. But 9:30 p.m. would come, which is when I had the trigger to go and do this thing. My brain would basically say, nope, every single time. It's like, you got to sit on the kitchen. Nope, we're going right to bed. I am exhausted. I had a very long day and I'm going to sleep. And this happened for basically 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then you were getting frustrated at me, like, you said you were going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's getting too late. Like, I just don't have the willpower at that time.
Yeah.
And what we're really describing here is the present bias, the fourth bias, which states that present you really does not care about future you, at least in its default state. So there was a study done out of Stanford that explains everything. They put people in brain scanners and they had them think about 3 different people. Themselves right now, themselves 10 years from now, and a complete stranger. So when people thought about present themselves right now, the medial prefrontal cortex lit up, which is the part of the brain that activates when you think of yourself, when you think of me. When they thought about the stranger, that region went quiet. When they thought about themselves in 10 years, it remained quiet, which meant that version of you in 10 years basically gets treated like a complete stranger that you don't give a shit about. Future you is not considered you in your brain. It's considered some other person that we don't even care about. So you make decisions now that future you will not be happy with because all you care about is present you, which is why at 9:30 p.m. I wasn't thinking about future Mike in the next morning who would wake up nice and well rested, or down the line Mike who's compounding this sleep habit. I was thinking about Mike right now is really tired. Mike right now wants to go to sleep. That's the present
So
bias.
what you're saying is, how do we get better at delayed gratification?
Basically, yeah.
Right?
It's how do you build a better relationship with future you?
Yeah. And so what you just described in your example with the meditation pillow was basically removing friction.
Well, no, I didn't get there yet. That's the conclusion of my story. That's how I ended up actually securing this habit. But I also used the 24-hour rule, which we've talked about in a previous episode, where anytime you want to get yourself to do something, you think of the version of yourself 24 hours from now and how they would feel about that thing. So you have to kind of be hyper aware of this present bias and counteract it with forcing yourself to think of 24-hour you and not present you. Because if you don't, present you is going to win every time.
Yeah.
So that was mindset number 1 going into this fix was 9:30 comes. Okay, Mike now doesn't want to do this, but what about 24-hour Mike? How is he going to feel about this decision I'm making right now?
Yep.
And so that was the first point of leverage. The second point of leverage is you want to make it as easy as possible for that future version of yourself that you're like making the habit for to say yes to that thing. You're almost like kind of like making it a bargain with it, like making it as easy as possible for them to do it.
Yep.
The future
a
version.
commitment device.
Exactly.
Yeah. This reminds me of the old story of Odysseus and the Sirens. You know that one?
No, I'm not a Greek mythologist.
So 3,000 years ago, Homer wrote the first recorded solution to the present bias, okay? Odysseus knew that when his ship passed the Sirens, whose song was so beautiful, it drove sailors to steer into the rocks, okay? Present him would want to follow the music. So he had his crew tie him to the mast in advance and plug their own ears with wax. He didn't try to resist the urge in the moment. He removed the choice from present him entirely.
That's like when you go to the supermarket and you make sure you don't buy any junk because you know that if the junk is in the house, you're going to eat it.
Yep.
All right. It's setting you. And so what I did with that commitment device is I basically removed all the friction. So at first the goal was at 9:30 p.m. you have to sit down for 20 minutes on your meditation cushion, which is like at 9:30 p.m. the last thing your brain wants to do is a 20-minute meditation.
Yep.
So I said, all right, remove the time commitment, the time constraint. There's no 9:30 p.m. It's just before going to bed, just sit on the cushion with no time constraint whatsoever. And when I started doing it, it was like, okay, all I have to do is sit on the cushion tonight. So I would do it. I would just sit on the cushion. And I thought to myself, okay, even if I'm here for 5 seconds, that's enough because I just want to start building this habit. But I ended up staying there for like 20, 30 minutes at a time and getting the deepest nights of sleep I've gotten in my entire life, waking up so well rested, so peaceful. It's been the most game-changing habit of my life.
Making future you very happy.
Making future me extremely happy, yes.
I like it. So what's our call to action here to overcome the present moment bias? Is that what it's called? Present moment?
It's called the present bias.
How do we overcome the present bias?
It's to use the 24-hour rule, very simply. It's today when you don't feel like doing something, that discipline that you know your mind tends to fight you on, use the 24-hour rule. What would the you in 24 hours think about this decision you're making today?
Yeah.
Or right now?
And remember the quote by Jim Rohn, which is one of my favorites, which is you can either suffer the pain of discipline right now or suffer the pain of regret later. And the pain of discipline weighs ounces and the pain of regret weighs tons.
Yeah, so true.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love you.
Peace.